in their words, the provincial government, quote, failed to appropriately accommodate the Mushkegowuk people. And they asked a very simple question: how can the provincial government create a riding called Mushkegowuk when the people of Mushkegowuk are not represented? Pretty simple question to ask. You would think we could have got this answered during the opportunity for amendments and kind of clean that up. Now, I've painted a bit of a bleak picture in her own words. When I talk the words food insecurity and economic instability, these are all the chief's words. I've been quoting everything. But just to give you a different perspective, there was a headline in the media recently: First Nation in Ontario using drones to help lower costs, create jobs. Pretty darn progressive. And what this is the Moose Cree First Nation. They teamed up with a Toronto-based company here called Drone Delivery Canada to see if those self-flying aircraft can reduce the time and expense of bringing food, medicine, and other supplies to remote communities. We don't have that in North Bay. We don't have that in places of Toronto. You hear Amazon talking about your books are going to be delivered by drones one day. But here we are in this little aircraft called the Sparrow. It's a 10-pound capacity drone. You have to appreciate why. Why would you go to that trouble, or why? Well, in the far north, this is a great solution to a very real problem. Twice in the year, once coming up very soon when you've got the freeze-up, the water is not quite navigable by boat and pretty darn cold. You might not want to be out there, and there's lots of ice forming, and so you can't get there by boat. And again, in the spring, in the breakup, you've got ice flows, and it's very dangerous. You've got very dangerous situation. You can't really get back or there by boat. Freeze up and break up. That's what happens. So you need a helicopter. It's the only way to get anything over there. It's the only way. The rest of the year, summer, you go by boat. Winter, you go by sled. Some would call it a snowmobile. That's how you get there. But those 2 times a year, you go by helicopter. $650 an hour is a Toronto rate. Imagine the rate of a helicopter in the far north. So this is a great concept that if there's a medical need, a very quick medical need, if there's just day-to-day food supply, 10 pounds, zipping a drone back and forth. Brilliant. So why I tell you about that is because although the chief and others, myself included, we paint a picture of the third world conditions, which are very real in the far north, in some instances, they're way ahead of us as well. When you look at turning to drones to help lower the costs and create jobs, that's pretty darn smart. This is Moose Cree, by the way. It's about 2.5 kilometers from Moosonee. It's an island. We call it Moose Factory Island, and there's no easy way. So for that little jaunt, if you need something and there's no helicopter available, or you haven't got the price of the helicopter, this is really something. Instead of barge in the summer, trucks in the winter, or sleds as well, ice roads, pricey helicopters, fill the gap. Now you've got the experimenting with drones to transport these key supplies. That's pretty out there. Good for them. I think, Speaker, that in conversation with people as well, that you will see other innovations that'll bring some excitement to the region. You know, we've heard the phrase in the media before about blockchain. Well, blockchain, it's an innovation that is designed to bring transparency and efficiency to industries like healthcare, financial services, logistics, construction, arts, entertainment, education. So you've got people who are on the leading edge of this technology. And while Ontario certainly can be a world leader in nurturing these developments, you know, when I hear of lots of talk about drones, but it's actually going to happen in Moosonee and Moose Factory, it's exciting to know that when companies are encouraged, developers of blockchain are encouraged to come back to Ontario, that it would not surprise me, Speaker, to know that all communities in Ontario have an opportunity for some of these innovations. And when we have First Nations like the Moose Cree, who are far advanced in terms of the actual practical use of drones, that's pretty good to see. I was very encouraged by that, Speaker. You know, in the North, so frequently, we are misunderstood. When I think of Voyager Airways in North Bay, 350 employees. They have aircraft from all over the world that come into North Bay because we have a 10,000-foot runway, one of 4 in Ontario, one of 15 in Canada, to have maintenance, repair, and overhaul done. You may not think about that in Northern Ontario, but it's there. We have FDM4, a computer software company. When you go online to order golf clubs, I'm not sure which brand, the backbone software that company uses is from FDM4 in North Bay. When you are looking at rodeo equipment, it's made by Aplatech in Powassan, Ontario. Fascinating, the work that's done in my riding of Nipissing and throughout Northern Ontario that is shipped worldwide. There are a couple of members here who joined in a tour of one of the lumber companies in Englehart this summer. And their product is manufactured, shipped widely. It is truly amazing how many products are indeed manufactured, designed, manufactured, and shipped out of Ontario's north. Canadore College has a spectacular iCamp, it's called. Just spectacular. It's robotics. It is partially funded by industry throughout the city. I know that Rotacan is one of the companies who have donated both time, money, and equipment to iCamp. There are many, many more, far too many to mention. But our aspirations are the same as everybody's aspirations. We want a better place for our kids to grow up. We want choices. We want to be able to live where we choose. We want to be represented where we choose to live as well. And so when you've got communities like the 11 ridings currently in the north, which will become 13 ridings, it gives us more voices, Speaker, in Queen's Park, voices that we desperately need to help get our message. As 15 other ridings are being added, our overall percentage of the ridings in Ontario gets smaller. We have 2 new seats, but fewer voices in Queen's Park altogether. And I think that's why it's so very important that we add these 2 seats, but that we do it right. And at the risk of sounding immensely repetitive. We're not doing it right, Speaker. We're just not doing it right. They know it, being the Mushkegowuk. They know it, meaning the government. And we all know it. It's not being done right. And I think that's disappointing. We've got one kick at the can here, and we should be doing it right, Speaker. Everybody, whether you're in the GTA, Southwest, Southeast, Northern Ontario, the far north, you've got dreams for your families as well. You've got hopes and aspirations. You want to be respected as well. And in this particular case, we missed the bar. We missed that, Speaker, and we heard it. I've repeated many times their exact wording, but we've heard it loudly and clearly. We missed the bar on this one, and that's disappointing. Maybe we have a chance to fix this. I'm hoping that we'll be listened to. We didn't win it in amendments where we tried, where it would have been the right day and the right place to fix that up. Why are we debating this if they're not going to have a chance to do what's right? There's no right or wrong here. Let's just get it done the way the Grand Chiefs have asked, and just do this, Speaker. We do have a chance to fix this up. The only other thing I wanted to address, and I shouldn't be addressing it in this speech, but there's an Election Finances Act set of changes thrown into this bill that creates two ridings in the far north. But in addition, somehow this bill amends the Election Finances Act as well. Oh, while we're at it, we might as well fix up the other thing we fouled up here. So make no mistake, Speaker, again, the Liberals got caught in a campaign finance scandal, and because of that, the pendulum swings as far as you can possibly swing to try to cover all the sins that were created when they got caught. And I guess they didn't quite fix everything that they thought they ought to fix, that their campaign finance scandal put them in, and they want to fix a few more things. Well, Speaker, I think it's opportunistic at worst that they throw this into a bill where we really see that they can't even comprehend the basics of the bill, and yet they complicate it by sticking in some election finances goodies at the end of it. I think that's disappointing, Speaker, and it makes people in Ontario question the Liberal government's trust, or the trust that they have in them, if there's any left. But it also makes people cynical. I think that's what I saw. I went knocking on doors in Sudbury this past weekend. Troy Crowder is our candidate there, great northern boy. He played hockey for the North Bay Centennials in the OHL, went to high school at Chippewa High in North Bay. My executive assistant, Andrea, went to school with him at Chippewa. He's a great young man. He went on to the NHL, played several years in the NHL, came back to Sudbury, and here we are now campaigning door-to-door in Sudbury. And I got to tell you, Speaker, I got an earful about the government, about the Liberal government. They don't trust them. They're eager for them to be gone. They felt that they're past their best before date. Certainly that was what we heard very clearly, door after door after door. They're very, very concerned that everything they see is for the benefit of the government and never for the benefit of the people. And I think, for whatever reason, and I can't figure it out, this name thing, that, again, it's not for the benefit of the people. The people don't want it. The people that we're talking about, the Grand Chiefs, the Chiefs, in the Mushkegowuk area. They don't want this, yet the government seems to be just barreling through, going ahead with this. It's not. This bill is not going to benefit the people at the end to the extent that it could. Yes, there's going to be an additional representative, and that's good. But good heavens, you know, we're quibbling over the name here, except to them it's not quibbling. This is a major insult, and so typical of this government. They can fix this quickly. They could have fixed it the other day, but oh gosh, no way. They're not going to give our party an amendment. Oh, God forbid that we fix it because the PCs had a better solution. That's never going to happen. So they add insult to injury, and it's exactly why I felt door to door what I heard on Saturday. I was not surprised. I heard it when I knocked on doors for Ross Romano, our MPP from Sault Ste. Marie. I could have told you right then and there the Liberals were going to come third. I heard it at the door, and I'm telling you, Speaker, I heard it at this door as well, that everything this government seems to do is to benefit the Liberal Party, not the people of Ontario. But again, Speaker, I don't get it. I don't get why they just cannot do this. There's some reason, I haven't been able to figure it out yet, why they're so adamant and insistent on forcing down a name that the people, the leaders, the chiefs, the grand chiefs don't want. There's some reason. I'm eager to hear it. Haven't heard it yet. We didn't hear it in the Attorney General's opening 20, 30 minutes. I'm hoping that in the time remaining, maybe we can hear from the Liberals as to what the issue is, why they're so hell-bent on continuing to insult the Mushkegowuk people, the chiefs, the grand chiefs, and all the other presenters that we had. Speaker, I have appreciated the opportunity to spend this hour. It kind of went by fast for me. I'm not sure about you, Speaker, how you felt about it.
Lightning fast. Riveting.
Well, I thought some parts of it were riveting, you know. So I'm just looking at my final notes that I took when Chief Faries spoke, and she said this half measure, it's not going to suffice, will not suffice. They really want to see a member of the Mushkegowuk people serve in the legislature. But the proposed riding, in her words, and I believe is correct, it goes far beyond the Mushkegowuk territory. So, Speaker, for heaven's sake, we stand in this legislature. We've outlined an issue here that can easily and quickly be remedied. We've provided a remedy. If we're not going to do something, why do we bother standing here and offering these things when the government continues on their selfish agenda, ignoring the very people that they set out to address in the first place? And I thank you for the opportunity, Speaker.
Thank you very much.